Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Thursday, January 16th, 3:46 p.m. We've got a decent amount to talk about right now. And we've had a pretty reasonable day in the stock market. I mean, things have been pretty okay. We've got some macro stuff to look at. We've got some company-specific stuff to look at. Some companies doing very well today, even if they're doing selectively well across the broader market. Some companies, like Apple, getting hit very, very badly off different headlines that are affecting them. So, I mean, it's one of those days where after the green day that we had yesterday, which was the best day since November 6th, it's not a day I guess you can really complain about, even if some of these stocks are giving back their gains, but it's definitely not a day that anyone can necessarily be super excited about either, because we're not continuing on that momentum across the entire market the way we did yesterday, which is to be expected, because on a day like that, you're going to give back some of those gains. Overall, not too bad. The biggest loser we'll talk about in a little bit, Apple down 3.9%. Apple doesn't move down 4% as easily as Apple's moving down today on 4%. Bitcoin is back above 100,000. We'll talk more about Bitcoin in a second. Apple's kind of like the S&P 500, 1 to 2%, even, or 3 to 4% is a big move on Apple, just as it is on the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. Individual stocks obviously move 5 to 10%, but Apple tends not to move like that. Well, you're down 3.92% today off a headline in China that said Apple is now the number 3 leader when it comes to market share for phones. Huawei, I believe, is number 1. So not the best thing for Apple. It's reacting pretty negatively towards that. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But Apple is down 4%. Palantir trying to close at 70. We were at 71.43 today, 69.74 right now, up 2.3%. I'll take it. At least we are above 65, which we were stuck at for the past couple of days. So 69.69 on Palantir. That's a great stock price. Not too bad. Reddit's at 175. Bitcoin above 100,000. That means MicroStrategy is up about 2%, 1.86%. HIMS is up 1.45%. Robinhood also not a bad day, holding 46. It looks like we are going to get in 12 minutes our first $46 close in over 3 years for Robinhood. 46.26 up 1.54% on the day. Red Cat, a firm came out and said, Carisdale Capital, that they're shorting Red Cat. That's why that one is down 7%. S&P 500 is basically flat on the day. Not bad. Tesla is down 3.4% after giving back a lot of those gains. And then SoFi. Great day for SoFi. It looks like it's definitely going to close above 16. Hopefully we get a close above 16.25 right now at 16.31, up 5% of the day, which is not too bad at all. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of headlines to get into as we end up closing this market today. And in about 15 minutes, we will get money market inflow data as well. And we'll see how much money is ultimately going on the sidelines. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Phil, I'm Beneficial. Scott, what's up, what's up, what's up? Jill, Johnny, Quarantine Quartet. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Michelle, June, Jeremy, thank you, everybody, for being here. Alan, Matthew, Joseph, what's up, what's up, what's up? Do Think Speak, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here and being part of the show. You said you helped me pay off my house through your covers. Thanks. That's incredible. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for following the channel, and thank you for the $10 super chat, and congrats on paying off the house. No more mortgage. That is awesome. All right, so let's get started with this comment right here by Miss KMO504. That sounds like one of the bot YouTube coins that they're pumping on all the YouTube videos. I'm so sorry, guys, for the bot comments. Like, I can't stand them. I can't delete all of them. And I know people want to read the comments, and you click on the comments. There's like 200 comments. It's like, oh, there's a lot of people talking about this. And then it's like, hey, check out X8354 token. It's going to the moon. It's like, I don't understand how YouTube can be, Google could be a $2 trillion company and not solve that. But hopefully one day they solve that. Nonetheless, the 10-year is down. It's actually down 4.608%, which is what we needed from the 10-year. Why did we need this from the 10-year? Well, because yields were too high and this shit needed to come down, and it's finally coming down. We had fears of it going up all the way to 5%. It's now down from 4.8 to 4.6, which is very nice. The dollar took a little bit of a breather, but not too crazy. It's just below 109, 108.96. This thing really needs to come down to 101, 102 for the market to get a bit more excited. That would probably get yields down as well. But so far, the dollar is still high, and the 10-year is relatively high as well. It's just not as high as it was at 4.8, which is nice because obviously this thing cannot keep going as high as it was. So I think those two things from a macro perspective are very important. Now, that's allowing Bitcoin to go up. And one may be arguing, well, why is the 10-year coming down? Why is the dollar coming down? And that's because Fed President Christopher Waller came on CNBC today, and he quite literally said we will probably, or he didn't say probably, but he said we have a chance to cut rates earlier than what the market is pricing in. And again, it just doesn't get as bearish or it doesn't get as dovish as that. Once the Fed president says, yeah, we do think we could cut rates pretty soon, data keeps continuing the way it is. Now, he did say if many times. So he was very stern on this idea that we need to see it continue. But if we do see it continue, then it makes sense that we would continue to get more rate cuts. And that's probably why the market's getting some momentum right now as well. 1637 on SoFi. Last time we saw 1637 was December 17th. We were at December 17th. So really it's been just, well, today's January 16th. So just under a month of SoFi trying to get back to the levels that it was at before. Which is actually, no, on December 27th. December 27th, we were at 1658. So it's been, I would say, about 3 weeks since we got back up here, but we are here today going into SoFi earnings, obviously fueled by bank earnings as well. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, all of them did pretty well. And that's why SoFi is getting some more momentum along with the $525 million securitized loan deal that they secured today. Robinhood, 46.33, holding it. The 10-year coming down is good for Robinhood. It makes sense. This is going to be our second day in a row of holding post 45, which is very bullish for Robinhood, especially as the 10-year continues to come down. So maybe we enter into a new normalized era of this stock being above $45, which I would be very happy with. That is not bad at all. 46.34 on Hoodie. Reddit at 175. Now, Bitcoin at 100.6. I kind of don't know exactly why Bitcoin is at 100,574. There's no big headlines that I'm seeing right now. We talked about some of the crypto reserve stuff in the morning. Maybe the 10-year coming down, opening up liquidity. But outside of that, if you guys have a headline, let me know. I didn't see anything too crazy on the Bitcoin headline that would get it to go higher. Real quick headline I'm getting right now. Biden administration doesn't plan to take action that forces TikTok to immediately go dark for users on Sunday. Wow. Is Meta moving off that news? That's bullish Meta. Meta, I think it would be green here. It's recovering. It's still red for the day, but you do have a little bit of a green candle right there. So apparently, as per Bloomberg, Biden's not going to take action that forces TikTok to immediately go dark. Meaning, I guess if Biden administration doesn't plan to take action that forces TikTok to immediately, well, actually, you can interpret that as bearish for Meta because he's not taking action that forces TikTok to immediately go dark. But that doesn't mean he's taking action to get TikTok to not go dark. So a little bit of a wonky headline, but nonetheless, TikTok, that saga, we covered it on the market open. I still think we have no idea if that's going to get banned or not get banned. Yeah, that could be good for TikTok, actually. That could be good for TikTok versus bad. Fool's Gold, thank you for the $99.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Matt is a golden god for Next. Next is a very interesting company. We've talked about it on the channel. That's up 12%. Chris and Matt both, and Steve, are fans of this. This is energy infrastructure for liquefied natural gas. So if you got into this one because of Matt or Chris or even Steve, congratulations. I don't have a position in this. I know the bull thesis that they have on this. This is kind of like a hold it for the next 10 years type of play. It's not really one of those plays that, you should expect anything immediately to go up, but it is going up from like 6 to 9 in the past week. Or the past 2 weeks. So incredible stuff. Thank you, Fool's Gold, for the $100 super chat. You sent a $100 super chat in the morning as well. Appreciate you, brother. And congratulations on Next. And thank you to Matt Money as well. Josh, thank you for the $50 super chat. Have some transparency news I would like to give tomorrow on your channel if Amit is okay with it. Yeah. I don't really know what transparency news is, but let's have you on the channel, Josh. Sure. Just DM me on Twitter and we'll get you on the channel. For those that don't know Josh, he is very heavy allocated into SoFi. So, yeah, feel free to hop on, Josh. Also, I think TJ is going to be on the channel tomorrow for our regular Friday segment where we didn't get to do it for the past couple of weeks, but we're bringing it back for 2025. So you could even come on the channel when TJ's there. Speaking of TJ, he is now loaded up on SoFi. It's not like he wasn't already loaded, but he exercised some contracts on SoFi. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow morning as well. He now has 190,000 shares of this bad boy. And yeah, that's a little underweight for something he's bullish on, but still not bad at all. Now, his strategy, again, is selling covered calls against a lot of these shares. So his goal to exercise was to then take the shares and then put them up for rent. But he'll talk more about it tomorrow when he comes on the channel, and we'll go deeper into that. So Josh, just DM me on Twitter, and we'll get you and TJ onto the show tomorrow. Reddit right here, 174.9, Bitcoin 100.4. Tessie got hit the worst out of the Max 7. Oh, where is NVIDIA today? We didn't look at NVIDIA the whole day. NVIDIA is down 1.64 as well. The semis are all green except Qualcomm. TSM gave back 3%. It was up 7%. Now it's up 4%. So still a good day but giving back some of the gains. SMCI is green. Intel's red, AMD's red, NVIDIA's red, ON Semiconductor's red. Kind of a mixed bag with the semiconductors. ASML is also up 3%. Micron just went red. Dell is up a little bit. TSM really the big winner today, up about 4% currently right now. Question, did you buy or sell anything today? Did you buy or sell anything today on this Thursday in the stock market? I don't think there was any crazy deals going on here. I mean, again, if you bought the dip on SoFi, congrats. You are doing very well on SoFi at 1630. Transmedics is down 3%. Enphase got a nasty downgrade today, down 3.6%. They went from 100 to 65 on that price target. Palantir 69.41, nothing too crazy. Red Cat down 7%. Bank of America is down about 1%. SoFX, which is now 2x leverage SoFi, that's there. Also, there's a Robinhood 2x sticker coming out soon as well. So these 2x leverage stickers are coming back, and they're applying to other names. But I don't think that one is out yet right now. Square's up 1.8. SMCI is up a little bit. Morgan Stanley up 4% off of a great bank earning, so the market's liking that. And then you got oil and gas XLE also up about 0.7% right here on the day. Bought some Grab. I did buy some Grab as well. Got some more options in Grab. Bought Tesla. Bought Amazon. Steven bought more SoFi. Sold Archer. Bought Serve Calls. Interesting. Where is our spec names for the day? Let's take a look. Spec is pretty much green. Quantum's all green today, up about 5 to 7%. QUBT is the only one that's down 7%, so it must be something specific with that one. Oh, there is a short report on this. I didn't read it yet, but there is a short report, not by like a Hindenburg or anything, but a different firm put out a short report on this one. So that might be the reason that's down 7%. MSTR up 2%. Faraday Future down a little bit. GameStop down a little bit. SoundHound up slightly. And then Archer actually up 3%. Not bad. Wow. Big Bear AI up 21%. That one I think is getting squeezed because their short float is pretty high. They did have a headline on the CEO change, but that might be a little bit more potentially squeezy. Oh, Starship is launching today. We're having a Starship. I didn't even know that. I did not know that. Okay, that'll be exciting, especially after the Blue Origin stuff that we saw yesterday. So that will be important to see. We're also going to listen to Palmer Luckey after the bell. He did a new interview with Bloomberg, and they talked about when Anduril would IPO. I know a lot of you guys are interested in Anduril. So we're going to get an interview with him and get a little bit of a listen on how he's thinking of this. 1 minute left, folks. We got 1 minute until Hoodie can hopefully close above 46. Palantir closing above 69. Where is it at right now? 69.35. And then SoFi closing above that 16 range. Big day for all three of those. Tesla's going to be red. S&P is going to be basically flat. But all of those closing at that level would be very, very bullish on a Thursday after a pretty strong day that we had yesterday. So hopefully we get those closes, and it's not too bad. Rogov bought NVIDIA. Yeah, I don't know why NVIDIA is down today. I mean, I think there were some more semi-restrictions Biden put up, a couple of those, but like, I don't think that's the biggest headline to take it that much down. XRP also had a crazy day. XRP also. Congratulations. I mean, that one, it's doing its thing. XRP is doing its thing. All right, folks, here we go. Thursday, January 16th, 4 p.m. The bell is back, and the stock market is now closed. All right, the bell's back. We're back to normal, and here we go. The market is closed. SoFi ends the day 1630, baby. Not bad. 1630. NVIDIA down 1.96%. SoFi gets its highest close since December 27th. So very nice for SoFi. Palantir 69.24. Nice. We were chilling around 63 to 65 for the past couple of weeks, so nice to try to make our way back into the 70s. Robinhood first close above 46, and it's up 0.67% after hours. That might be a little bit of a fake wick, but it is up another 0.5% after hours. 46.08. Very nice on Hood. Yeah, that was a wick. Right back down to 46.08. First $46 close in over 3 years. So very, very exciting there for Hood. Apple, we'll talk more about them, down 4%, really getting hit badly. I think we all kind of knew this was coming. No one's really upgrading their phone. Apple's buying back shares, but how much more can you buy back shares? Like at some point, you're going to have to show growth. Apple's not showing the growth. Services cannot be the story for Apple. So I think this is a much needed little bit of a correction for Apple, but the question is going to be how much worse does it get or does it stabilize at these levels. Enphase right here, 63.47, down about 4%. Hims was up 0.25%. Reddit 175, that's up 2.5%. Tesla down 3.36%. I think that's normal. Makes sense. It had a monster day yesterday, gave some of that back. Grab down basically flat, about 10 cents on the day, 0.22% down. Micron was down 0.57%. Uber, great day for Uber, up 2.36%. TSM, great day, up 4% into the close. Google was red by 1.3%. All of the Max 7 were red on the day. All of them. Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, and Tesla. So they kind of gave back some of the gains that they got yesterday. Pretty much all the semis, or half of the semis were green and half the semis were red towards the end of the day. Nvidia, amazing drop considering TSM earnings. Yeah, that's fair. I think the thing about Nvidia is that a lot of the street has priced in all of the bullishness around all the other semiconductor names. Like, it's not like TSM is going to make Nvidia do more than $40 billion of revenue in Q4. Remember, they guided for $37 billion. The street number is probably $40 billion, but they're sandbagging. If they actually do more than 40 billion, then like Nvidia is, I think, I think we're really going to see some momentum on Nvidia, but people are still worried if they can even get to 40, much less, that 37 number that they quote unquote guided for. So if they get above 40, I think that's when TSM earnings get underlooked on a day like this, because that should be a signal that Nvidia is going to do really well. But it is going to take about a month and a half for us to see what those numbers actually look like. MSTR 367, 1.69. Bitcoin back again. This is, I think, the 10th time Bitcoin has gotten to 100,000. Hopefully can keep it. At this point, 100,000 doesn't even feel as special anymore for Bitcoin, but very nice to see that it's getting above that level. Shout out to Amitz Bell. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Y'all missed me, didn't you? You are back, Amitz Bell. The fact that someone created a channel called Amitz Bell just to send this is like, you guys are the best. You guys are absolutely the best. But the bell is officially back. Symbiotic. Let's see Symbiotic, how they did today. Again, they bought the Walmart business, up 18%. Incredible. They bought Walmart's robotics business, which was great. XRP is at 328, so that's up 6%. It was up 10%, so gave back about 4% earlier in the day. Let's check money market funds. They might not be out right now, or they might be out. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, interesting. All right, increase or decrease? Let's do the poll. Increase or decrease? This was not exactly what I expected. And if you knew what I expected, then maybe you can guess why I just was surprised. Let's do the poll. MMF, increase or decrease? That's an interesting one. Huh. This is for this week. This is for this week on money market funds, ending January 16th, 2025. So from January 16th all the way down to January 9th. Let's see. What's the poll say? The poll says 54% decrease, 46% increase. All right, here we go. Money market funds in the United States of America have decreased, baby. 54 billion out of the money market funds and hopefully into the wonderful equities market. That surprised me, guys. I thought this thing was going to go up by like 100 billion. I was seeing some preliminary reports I talked about in the morning that money market funds were going much higher. And none of that data is accurate until we actually get the numbers, which, it tends to be at like 4 or 5 on Thursdays. But I thought they were going up. This is the first decrease that we got in the past 3 weeks. We had 162 billion of increases on money market funds over the past 3 weeks, and this is the first decrease of 54 billion. Retail is 2.75 trillion money market funds, institutional 4.1 trillion, 6.8 trillion still on the sidelines waiting for an opportunity to bet on some of the greatest companies in the world. But as of now, they are sitting in cash, but some of that money, 54 billion of it, is coming off the sidelines. Robinhood right here, 46.11 after hours. Hims is up 1.25% after hours. Bitcoin still holding up 100,000. Tesla still down. TSM is green, a little bit down after hours, and then Nvidia just up a little bit after hours, 133.76. Not bad. Not bad at all for the money market funds. MMF is money market fund for I'm sure it might be interpreted as something else, but it's money market fund. Yeah, 52% said decrease, 48% it said increase. I thought it was going to increase. I really thought it was going to go up, but that was not the case. No earnings today. We had all the earnings that we had to look at after or early in the day. So nothing after hours. Tomorrow we have Schlumberger, Truist, which is an important one for the banks. And that's pretty much it. And then next week, let me just share this right here. Next week is when things get a bit more exciting. We have Netflix on the 21st. That's an important one, along with Schwab, IBKR, United Airlines. And then we have Verizon later in the week, J&J, the pharmaceuticals. So next week, kind of still a light week, nothing too crazy. Netflix is the big one to start off tech earnings. But the week after that is when all hell breaks loose. And this day, Wednesday, 29th, January 29th, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, all after hours with Jay Powell speaking at 2 p.m. or 2:30. So it is going to be kind of crazy. The market's closed on Monday. Next Monday, is it? Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. MLK Day. Yeah, we are closed. Okay. So I forgot. Okay, so yeah, Monday markets are closed. We'll start Tuesday next week. And the inauguration. Oh, well, I'm going to be streaming the inauguration. What am I talking about? I'll be streaming. Yeah, inauguration. That starts at 10:30. So I'll be live at like 10:15. That's going to be a lot that we have to look forward to. Amit, when are you selling your hood options? So I sold most of the hood options on January 2nd. I still have a set of 2026 options that honestly I want to sell them after hood earnings because I think I can get most of the value if hood has a really good earnings, but they don't expire till January 2026. And if I hold on all the way till 2026, A, I get to save on taxes. B, they'll probably be worth the max amount. So we'll see. Maybe hood tanks after earnings. We have no idea, but most of them have been sold. Tesla down a little bit more after hours. S&P flat. Dude, the S&P held 590 and it got to 595 today. I mean, I'm pretty content with the S&P. The fact that we're not back in that 575, 80 level, I like that. The S&P showing some pretty good strength. TLT, nice pop today as well as bond yields came down. So if you're long TLT, that's probably doing not too bad. ARK Innovation was up a little bit as well today. Eli Lilly, a little bit of recovery after an 8% down day. Rivian as well, up 4%. Not too bad. Oracle was up about 1%. And then Lyft right here up about 1.49% as well on the day. Josh says, so is the haircut. Guys, you've seen my haircut a billion times. This is my hair right now. This is why I wear a hat. Because if I did the show looking like this all day, everyone would be distracted by my crazy hair. But if you go on Twitter and just scroll, you will see plenty of jokes around my haircut. It's crazy, bro. It's literally all insane. It's literally insane. That's why I wear the hat. I gotta protect a little bit of my eyes from dealing with the hair. But that is the haircut. There you go. That's what you got. Question, why blocking TikTok and not blocking OnlyFans? Which one is more harmful to the foundation of society? So great point. I mean, I can't argue that there are certain issues with OnlyFans in terms of the overall, health of our society. However, OnlyFans is not controlled by the CCP, to my understanding. And so that is kind of the main reason. Also, if we allow pornography websites in America, you're probably going to allow OnlyFans, right? It's hard to draw a line there. But if they're owned by the CCP, it's going to be harder to ban them. All right, couple interviews. Let's take a look at Bank of America CEO on earnings, get a perspective from him. Again, running one of the largest banks in the world. Let's see what he thinks in terms of the health of the current financial system.
Much, and our thanks to Brian Moynihan as well. You saw the stock was down by about 1.8%, but that does come after the stock was up pretty sharply yesterday, as many of its peers were reporting better than expected numbers. Bank of America, no exception to that. Strong numbers across the board. Investment banking fees were up by 44%. And net income interest, as Brian pointed out, was up pretty sharply too. Brian, just wondering what you can tell us about net interest income for 2025, because the analysts I either spoke with today or read that are still recommending shares of Bank of America are saying they're doing that because they expect your bank to outpace its peers when it comes to net interest income in 2025. What do you see?
Well, Happy New Year, Becky. And yes, we expect it to go up next year. So today we told people, our investors and the public that...
Does anyone own Bank of America? Put it in the chat. If you own Berkshire, I guess you own some Bank of America, but put in the chat if you own Bank of America.
Basically, we had two basic points. First of all, it'll be flat the fourth quarter 24 to the first quarter 25, which with 2 less days, that's really a $250 million that cost you, believe it or not. So that's actually good performance. And then by the year end, it'll be 15.5 to 15.7, 15.5 billion to 15.7 billion, and all in next year, 5 to 7% growth rate over this year. And that's different because the way our balance sheet constructed, we keep working up the ladder, and you expect that to continue to grow. But the thing that people get caught about the financial measurement, the reality is what's really happening is our loans and our deposits are outgrowing the industry because we're doing a great job with the customers. And so, our deposits bottomed out 6-7 quarters ago, have been growing since then. It's now rounded out to all the businesses. That will continue into 25. And our loans, we had $9 billion in loan growth in the third quarter, $20 billion in the fourth quarter, and that compounds in, and we expect that to continue. So it's really a great job our team does with those wonderful clients and customers that actually drive this. We talk about it but it's an output, not an input.
We have.
Okay, so fair point. Deposit growth is not as strong for Bank of America, and they are saying that bottomed a couple of quarters ago. The increase is not as strong as some of the other banks like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, et cetera. But Bank of America is also a bigger company than a lot of those. Market cap at $357 billion, dividend at 2.23%. So not bad for Bank of America. Hood is the new Bank of America. Dude, that's facts. Dude, Bank of America constantly emails me like, hey, why don't you do this to get a better yield or whatever? I'm like, dude, you guys are giving like 0.005%. Like, I'm not keeping my money inside of Bank of America. So look, that's also fair for the next generation. A lot of people just, have more trust in other platforms. Nonetheless, I still have a Bank of America account because sometimes you just, you need to pay with a proper bank account. But a lot of the money that I get does not get deposited into Bank of America anymore. And part of the reason is they're not giving you a high yield, which is why their non-interest income is the way that it is right now compared to companies like Hood and SoFi that just have much lower interest incomes. Amit, do you know why semis went down right before the market closed? I don't. I think there is a headline about more regulations on NVIDIA, not just NVIDIA, but on the semiconductor industry overall. And that probably could have triggered a little bit of pain for the semis. I think these whole regulatory things about the semis is stupid. I think at the end of the day, like either they're going to be able to sell to other countries or not. And Trump's going to have to make a decision on that. But right now, Biden's 3 days before he leaves trying to enforce like these really restrictive AI semiconductor institutional policies. Maybe Trump likes some of them, but right now those headlines, I think, are what's scaring investors. But, if you believe in NVIDIA, I don't think that can be the thing that scares you the most. Okay, Anduril. Let's listen to Anduril. He was on Bloomberg. I know a lot of you guys are very curious about Anduril, about it going public. So let's listen to him. He had some comments on when the company will go public and overall how much they are growing.
Incredibly aggressive, the timeline to manufacture the first phase of this site and then start production mid-2026. How big a factor was that timeline in Ohio's selection, Palmer?
It has to be this fast because we don't have time for business as usual. The types of threats that the United States is facing, that our allies around the world are facing, the fact that we are predicted to run out of munitions within the first 8 days of a potential conflict with China mean that we need to hyper scale our manufacturing of these type of weapon
Ohio?
systems.
Was this the only state that could guarantee that timeline?
I think that they were the state that gave us the best shot of hitting that timeline. Look, we've really engaged well with Jobs Ohio, with a lot of the politicians here, not just at the state level, but the local level. Like you said, we're hiring 4,000 people here in direct jobs, a lot more jobs than that in an indirect capacity. It's the largest single job creation event in Ohio history. It was a state that told us, we have the workforce. We have 1 million people who are capable of working in this facility within a 45-minute drive. We're willing to work with you on higher education to help train people so that they can come in and they can work with you. Our customer in the form of the United States Air Force obviously has a huge presence here in the form of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So really all the stars align to make Ohio a great place for us to do it and to do it fast. And speaking candidly, as someone who is from California, there's some states that are really good at pushing you out and slowing you down. And there's others that are great at pulling you in and speeding you up. And that's what Ohio was.
Let's go there.
Are you guys really not messing with his haircut, bro? I like it. I like the goatee. I like the haircut. I like the style. I mess with it. I like the haircut.
Was California at any point a likely candidate? And if not, why?
There was a 0% chance at any point of Arsenal One being located in California. There's a lot of reasons for that, but I mean, you can go through them. It's the high cost of living. It's the very high energy costs. It's in some cases the unreliability of the energy systems. It's the unreliability of the state politics and the worry on the regulatory side. And just, the reality is California has has enough money and enough really successful companies that they don't really have to worry about a company like mine, a company like Anduril. The jobs that we are bringing here to Ohio, they are material, and they are something that the state really, really cares about. And it doesn't hurt that one of our co-founders, Trey Stevens, is a NATO-born Ohioan. I won't say that's why that we made the final decision, but it definitely made sure that Ohio was at the top of the list from the beginning.
What you did say as a company is that it had nothing to do with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance.
No,
that was not a factor.
This decision's been going on a lot longer than that. We're finally able to talk about it today. But I mean, you saw the renders, you saw the site plans. Things like that take a long time to put together. We raised our $1.5 billion round of financing last year specifically to build this facility.
One of the questions from our audience on social media was about the jobs.
Yep.
4,000 over 10 years. There must be a mix of those originating from Ohio, but you must also be trying to attract talent out of state to move here. And I know you'll be spending a lot of time here as well.
Well, I'm definitely going to be buying a house out here. I'm blessed with financial success from my first company, Oculus VR, that allows me to get a place so I don't have to get a hotel room when I'm spending time out here. The thing about, yes, we're going to hire a lot of NATO Ohioans. I think we're also going to have a lot of people who are imports who are coming in and adding to the economy here. You look at our headquarters in California, we're about 80% imports. About 80% of our employees are coming from outside of the state into California. And I think that we're going to do, I think we're going to bring a lot of people here as well. Maybe not 80%. But there's going to be a lot of people who are moving to the area, economically building it up.
The supply chain in Ohio is actually very interesting. So you will have use of 2 runways where we are now, Rickenbacker Airport.
That's right.
But my understanding is that, take, for example, a Fury behind us. In some cases, you'll be able literally to take off from the runway, which is just a few feet from where we're sitting, and deliver that technology direct to customer. Explain.
Direct to customer or directly to the action? I mean, so this is Fury. This is our CCA, Collaborative Combat Aircraft. It's basically an autonomous, loyal wingman fighter jet that can fight alongside F-35s and other fighters that the United States and our allies use. But you're right. The goal here is that we can manufacture these aircraft at scale, thousands of these fighter jets here, and then we can either fly them directly to the customer or in some cases directly to the theater. Of course, probably with refueling stops along the way. But that's what we did during World War II, and that's what we plan on doing it again.
Ohio's quite busy. Intel has a fab going up.
That's right.
Quite nearby. Do you see that as a sort of competition for talent, or do you see it as value add to being here?
It's both. There's value added, and of course, I'm probably going to hire some of their people, and they're going to hire some of our people. That's just the way that these things always go. What you want to try to do is make the area more attractive in general, right? Like if Anduril was here and we were the only company that was in the area, it'd be harder to get really, really world-class people to want to stay in the area or move to the area because we're the only game in town.
Right.
When they know that it's a healthy ecosystem of career choices, it's a lot easier to get people to come, even if you do manage to keep them around.
Palmer, when I spoke to Ohio Governor Mike DeWine earlier, I asked him what was the sort of single biggest factor that gave him conviction about you meeting your timelines, not just for manufacturing, but your commitments to this state. In my career, with respect, every sort of industrial technology company I've covered, no matter how many billions of dollars they've raised from private sources, venture, private growth equity, have never met their manufacturing timelines. There's always slippage. Granted, the pandemic's been a factor.
Yep.
He said that factor was you and your colleagues. Just from meeting you, you are the point of difference. What can you tell me about how the team guarantees that 2026 timeline?
I think that, like I said earlier, we don't have time for business as usual. Right now, people are predicting that there's going to be a window of opportunity for Xi in China that opens in 2027. That means that you necessarily need to be ready for a potential great power conflict with China in 2027 and for at least a few years after that. So we have to, right? There's no other option. The whole point here, the reason we raised that $1.5 billion round, the reason that we've been accelerating this process, the reason that we're investing in building this factory ahead of the customer actually paying us to do it is because we believe in that timeline, because we have to believe in it. It is critical that we hit it, and I think we will.
Are you getting some financial incentives from the state of Ohio?
Absolutely. They gave us a great incentive package, and that was definitely part of our decision.
What's the value, and what does it look like? What is its composition?
I am going to let somebody else tackle it because I can tell you it's in the hundreds of millions versus the billions that we're going to be putting in.
Intel got $2.1 billion.
Yeah, I think they did a better job negotiating than me, maybe. I don't know. But I'm really glad that Intel is here. They're a really great partner. Obviously, they're making a lot of U.S. semiconductors that are competitive with the things that are being done in other countries, and it's critical for our products that we have advanced semiconductors that are made in the United States. So I'm really glad that they're down the road from us.
Palmer, it's important to have some extended time with you to talk about Arsenal One. I think one of the most common questions I get from the audience, even if they're familiar with Anduril, is what does Anduril actually do?
Sure.
They might know you as a weapons manufacturer, or if they are a bit more researched, autonomous defense systems.
Right.
This is an important question. I'm curious how he actually answers to the layman what the heck Anduril does.
But could we just simply talk about what Arsenal One is going to manufacture and where that technology will be sold and deployed?
The way we look at ourselves is as a defense product company, not a contractor, but a product company, meaning we take a product company approach. We decide what to build it, how to build it, when it's done, and we invest our own money into making that happen. Then we sell products to the customer. Now we work.
That actually is really interesting because a lot of the traditional defense contractors use taxpayer money to do R&D. If Anduril's doing their own R&D with their own money, that's saving the taxpayer money and theoretically should give a much cheaper product to the government when they go to actually get bigger contracts.
Work hand in hand with customers through that process. It's not like I can go off and build a Batmobile and try to sell it to them because I think it's cool. But I think that I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Second part of the question is what specifically
what
will
specifically
Arsenal
are you
build?
building? So the things that we're building, they're driven by what our customers need, but we are investing a lot of our own money in them. So obviously we're building Fury, our autonomous fighter jets. Behind you, you see all three of the different Barracuda cruise missile family. So the Barracuda 100, Barracuda 250, Barracuda 500, autonomous swarming cruise missiles. We're also going to be building a lot of our ISR drones. We're going to be building a lot of our mobile command and control systems here. And we're even going to be building some combat heads-up displays here. I think you're going to be hearing some news about that soon.
There is a timeline. It doesn't sort of all happen at once. So initially, the first phase of the facility, I think, is about 5 acres.
That's right.
Goes up to 500 acres. What does that process look like, building out what you call hyperscale defense or weapons manufacturing?
The process is building this place up in a way that only a madman would. Our COO, Matt Grimm, has been kind of the hero of the day and figuring out how we're going to go from a very, very minimal footprint today to 90 football fields in a very short period of time. And it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have really close cooperation with the local authorities on the permitting side, on the power and utilities side, on the logistics. For example, rail logistics, air logistics, road logistics, being able to move things in and out of this facility very, very quickly. If everybody wasn't on board and moving lockstep together, this timeline would be absolutely unreasonable. And you keep hitting it, but I will note, we have competitors who are telling us that
yes,
we are not going to hit these timelines and that we are madmen. And so, look, anyone could be wrong, but I would love to do a follow-up piece in maybe 24 months and see if we're bad men or not, or if we pull this.
Okay,
if we pull
24 months from now, you and I will sit down again, but in an operational facility is what you're saying.
We'll sit down in Arsenal One and we'll have fighter jets coming off the line is my prediction.
The other big question I get for you direct from the audience is how they as retail investors can participate in this.
Well, as you know, the United States government has taken a very un-American position in saying that you need to be generally an accredited investor to invest in companies like Anduril. I think that's totally bogus and it's anti-American, especially because the only thing that being an accredited investor means is you have money already. I know a lot of people who have money who you would never say they're accredited to do anything and vice versa. That said, we are on a path to being a publicly traded company. I think that's an important thing. I want us to be accessible to the American public. I think that it's good for people to be able to invest in American defense companies, not for them to just remain private forever. I'll take an ideological stand there. I think that is a good thing for the country. It's good for us. It's good for our customer. As for when that happens, it's hard to say. We don't need to IPO because we're doing really well. We're winning a lot of contracts. We're making quite a bit of money.
We doubled last year to about $1 billion.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor. Things are doing.
I'm pretty sure that's more than a rumor. That's most likely accurate. They've most likely doubled revenue to $1 billion, and if they can get to 1.5 this year or 1.7, then they would be on a really good growth trajectory.
Really, really well. So we don't have to IPO to raise money to keep the company going. I want to do it at a time when the markets are favorable, when people understand what we're doing. And I also want to prove out some of these big bets. I don't really want to IPO when people are saying that we're madmen and trying to do the impossible. I want to do the impossible and then say, look, we did it. all you have to do is bet we can do it again.
You will be doing business with somebody new in the Department of Defense. President-elect Trump's pick is Mr. Hegseth.
That's right.
You know, he was not one of the names that you had in your head when we last spoke a few months ago.
That's right. You'd asked me about it, and I said that I knew the names. I heard a lot of names coming around, and that I was a big fan of all of them. You're right. He wasn't one of the names that I had heard rattling around.
May I just make a point that, you know, look at his CV. He doesn't have experience running an organization of that size. You want change and improvement in how America does business with the private sector in defense. So what will your approach with potentially Mr. Hegseth be, and what do you make of him?
I think that there's a lot of credentialism that is being levied against him that is totally unfair. And I personally empathize with him a lot. I started Oculus VR when I was 19 years old, living in a camper trailer and putting myself through school. And I didn't have the experience to be running that company. And I grew it to thousands of people, an international business shipping millions of virtual reality headsets all over the world. And I didn't have the experience to be running Anduril either. I had absolutely no business running this company. People could have made the exact same criticism. What the hell does Palmer know about the military? What the hell does he know about national security? Yeah, his heart's in the right place, but he's just not qualified. The leap from where the people say his credentials are and what he needs to do is a much smaller leap than the best leaps that I've seen people make in my career. So I'm never going to be the guy to say, oh, I don't think he's qualified. No, he's way more qualified than I've ever been to do any job that I've ever done, and I'm doing a pretty good job of it. So I mean, God bless him. I think that he's a great pick. I read his book, The War on Warriors, so I was familiar with him, though not his name being in the arena. I think he's going to kick ass.
Palmer, let's end on President-elect Trump, but in the context of Arsenal 1, you still believe change is needed in that military industrial complex procurement process.
Absolutely.
What specifically needs to change over the next 4 years to allow for Arsenal to be a success?
I think that I think Arsenal 1 is going to be a success. The amount of change we've already had in the system, I think, will allow that. I don't think that we actually need radical changes in the system for Anduril to do very well, but for our country to do well, for us to build a national security apparatus, we need to move quickly. We need to take targeted risks. We need to get more companies into defense manufacturing. And that includes companies that are not currently defense companies, getting big tech in, getting little tech in, getting a lot of our industrial providers in. That is how we won World War II, was leveraging the whole of the nation. I think that that's the only way that we're going to win in the future as well. And I think that the people who are being brought in have exactly that mindset. We need to spend less, do more, and do it with the right things.
Jensen Huang.
All right. So put a poll in the chat. 87% of you say yes, you like him. 13% of you guys say no, you don't like him as much. Look, I like him. I've always been torn on Anduril as an investment because it is not software. People think it's software. It's not software. It's contracting, defense contracting. And as he said, I do agree with his assessment of a defense product company, but I'm curious about margins. I'm curious about how much profit they actually make. I'm curious about how scalable it is. Like if we don't have a war for the next 10 years, which I know, they're creating products in anticipation of something bad happening. But what if something bad doesn't happen in the next 10 years? Do they have the demand that's necessary for them to be able to build everything they're building? And they probably do have the demand, but is it like shareholder worthy demand in the public markets, right? Because in the public markets, you've got to grow. If you can't grow, you get punished. We saw this with Palantir in 2022. They could barely grow over 13% and they got punished very badly. So I am curious about the commercial aspect of Anduril, which I do think there is an argument that they can take their manufacturing and bring it to the commercial world. And then their Lattice platform is their software offering, which I think can be a sort of symbiotic product with their hardware offering. And that's where they can increase their margins significantly from the Lockheeds and the Raytheons of the world. But that's the part that always confuses me on the product itself. Now, if you're invested in Palantir, you're already getting not literally exposure to Anduril, but Anduril's working with Palantir heavily, right? The whole Titan contract we got, $189 million for 2 years in February of 2024. Palantir and Anduril beat Raytheon for that contract. So Palantir has worked, decisively with Anduril. A lot of the co-founders of Anduril are former Palantirians. So maybe this is a smaller Palantir. It's just I'm confused about how large their TAM is long term. That's the biggest question I have. I mean, I would love to just invest based off Palmer Luck, his personality. I agree with him ideologically, but they're valued at 15 billion. They're going to go public probably at 30. Where's the growth story? Is this the next Lockheed Martin? Lockheed Martin's at 120 billion market cap. So we're talking about 30 to 120. That's a 4x over how long? The decade, 2 decades. Like that's the broader question that I would be wondering long term. But I guess we'll get more details over the next 2 years as they continue to progress. All right, folks, let's get one of our favorite friends of the channel onto the show on this lovely Thursday evening to get a better understanding of what's going on in the global capital equity markets. Mr. Matt Money. What's up, Matt?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How was your day?
Great day. Serious question for you, though. Have you been able to get a hold of Steve at all?
I talked to him briefly in the morning. Very brief, like 2 minutes.
Did you? I mean, I bet he hung up on you pretty quick, though, didn't he?
No, he actually, so I called him. He didn't pick up the call. Then I was live on the market open. He called me back. And then I answered. And he said his phone was on Do Not Disturb because he had some meetings and stuff. And I think if you tried to call him, that's probably why he.
No, I mean, I just, I think he's really changed since XRP went above $3. I think he's forgetting about us, man.
Let's see if he picks up right now. Let's see. If he doesn't pick up, I agree with you. It's because of XRP.
I think he's changed.
I agree with you. If he doesn't pick up, he's I made that joke in the morning that he's probably swimming in XRP. Oh, wait, Steve.
Yes.
Steve, you don't have to call us back in 5 minutes. Matt's on the market open with me. We just wanted to make sure you actually picked up after XRP made you a trillionaire, and we just had to make sure you still care about us.
You're not on the market open. You are discussing the market close.
Oh.
Okay.
He really changed. He's changed.
I will call you guys back in 5 minutes.
Okay. Oh, yeah. See? Yep. Yep.
Dude, he's busy fucking counting his profits right now. That's why
he's like, hold on, I'm filling up my bathtub right now with XRP tokens. And
dude, Steve got XRP at 20 cents. So it's at 330. What is that return? 20 cents to 323. That's more than a 10x. He's at more than a 10x.
It's the subtle correction with poise. I love that. How are things, man? Things are going well over here at Matty Cap.
Yeah, things are going well. Want to get your take on this current market. I guess let me throw some stats at you and then get your reaction. 10 years down from 4.8 to 4.6. Dollars cooling off a little bit. We had the best day since November 6th in the stock market. How are you thinking of equities right now? Are you scared? Are you deploying capital? How are you thinking of it?
I'm always deploying capital, but I am a little bit I wouldn't want to say scared, but hesitant, I guess, to go full balls to the wall. I do think the valuations have run a little bit, but at the same time, we're seeing phenomenal numbers coming out of banks. We're seeing phenomenal numbers expected for a lot of the technology companies. So it makes you think, is this kind of like a head fake? I think Chris Patel and I on Cashflow Chronicles were discussing a lot about this back in like late 2023, early 2024. How he thought that there was going to be kind of like this head fake. We bottomed out, if you remember, kind of like in October 23, and we kind of did like a little bit of a pivot. The market took like a little bit of a pause, and it pivoted in October 2023. And the whole time we were like, okay, March it's going to roll over, April it's going to roll over, May it's going to roll over, and here we are, in literally a year later. And it has yet to really roll over to a significant extent. And, I was hoping for a little bit of a pullback earlier this week, but really things have kind of pivoted very quickly back to getting closer to all-time highs. So we'll see what ends up happening. But, I'm always buying, but man, I would love a pullback because I'm not here for money today. I'm more so looking for money 10, 15 years down the road. And if I get a discount today on anything I'm buying, it just means I own more of the companies that I want to own for the next 5 to 10 years.
I think a lot of us were waiting for that pullback a couple weeks ago, or even a couple of days ago. And it seemed like kind of the sentiment was there to get the pullback. And then you get a day like yesterday where CNBC's banners are green because of how green it is. And it's hard to imagine, we get a 10, 15% correction, at least literally right now. Next decade, I know you've talked about this extensively, but we don't have to go deep into it. But a lot of people in the chat are saying well, this guy literally sent $100, so I got to get a beer for you because
he has a few shares. He has a few shares. I mean, I'll just quote my my good old friend Ariana Grande and say thank you next.
I like that. I like that.
No, Next is a good one, man. I mean, it's an easy company to kind of value because it's really a single asset, and you know, you don't see many companies like this where you could literally look at what they have in the pipeline and kind of value it in that respect. And so it's pretty easy to kind of value compared to something that's complex like Palantir, all the different contract negotiations and etc. Like you're literally talking about one facility, how potentially expansive it could be. And so I think with the incoming administration, it's going to be very favorable for LNG. And you can see that's what that large drop off was in August. And if anybody's curious,
in one sentence, what do they do for LNG?
So right now they don't do anything, but they're going to be operating and constructing a 27 MTPA megaton per annum LNG facility, actually not too far from where TJ lives, kind of near Boca Chica, where SpaceX is. Okay. And so they're near the Brownsville ship channel, and so they'll basically be taking gas once it's constructed and online in 2027. They'll be taking gas from the Permian. They'll be taking gas from the Eagle Ford and allowing that to be shipped to countries that have higher margin, like Japan, Europe, etc. What people don't realize is our energy prices within the United States are extremely cheap comparatively to the rest of the world due to the fact that we have positioned ourselves during the early 2000s and 10 years ago into the shale revolution with gas. We started hydraulically fracturing a lot of tight gas in the Marcellus shale and many other places, and that's kind of had subsequent follow-on effects into really people producing shale oil as well. But with that, I mean, we have way more gas than we can use, and that's why our gas prices are so much cheaper compared to the rest of the world. And I'm not talking about at the pump, right? I mean, that's still petroleum-based oils, etc. I'm talking about the stuff that you use to heat your house, the stuff that you use to cook your food. The electricity that we create, like 40 to 50% of it comes from natural gas. And a lot of that is why the US, believe it or not, emissions are down due to the fact that, in the late 90s, we had a lot of coal plants.
Right.
And because of the shale revolution, we've actually been able to convert a lot of those coal plants to natural gas. And so, believe it or not, even though we are producing more oil and actually using more oil than we were, say, 10, 15 years ago, CO2 emissions are actually decreasing due to the fact that natural gas is, or at least LNG, methane is the most simple and cleanest burning of the hydrocarbon fuels. And so a lot of people look at it as a transition of fuel to help supplement. And if you can use that to get off of coal, oil, etc., then it'll have a lot less CO2 emissions and it'll be much better for the environment, and will extend out all the timelines you need for the 2015 Paris agreements, things of the like. I mean, I don't want to go into a large tailwind as to what Maddie thinks about on a day-to-day basis, but
let's have someone else join the show so that we can officially have this threesome here.
Look at this guy,
Steve.
The only thing that we should be discussing is Levin Bakery.
See, I didn't want to let the world know, Stephen.
I mean, why not? Throw them some business. Why not?
Okay, hold on. Forget the bakery, Steve.
Don't disrespect
you changed.
the bakery.
I think you changed.
Don't disrespect the bakery.
Don't disrespect the bakery.
What bakery? You talking about your local bakery, or there's an investment?
No. Matt, can you enlighten Amit, please?
Maddie was on the phone with Stephen before XRP hit $3, so he actually picked up. And this was a couple days ago, last week, in fact. And
hold on. Let me guess. Steve's opening up a bakery?
No, just listen to the guy, please.
Listen to the guy. I was like, Stephen, I need your help. I was like, I'm looking for. And so Stephen, meanwhile, I shouldn't say this publicly on air, but for the 3,000 of you that are listening, don't report me. I was driving. Stephen starts sending me Instagram videos of all these delicious bakeries and stuff from New York. And then I'm like, Stephen, I need some of this shit. We don't have this here in Houston. I'm telling him We don't have good Italian. We don't have good wings. We don't have good bakeries. Something different about the bakeries up north, etc. He starts sending me stuff. I'm meanwhile, trying to not crash because of these delicious Instagram videos that Steven is sending me. And he's like, Matt, you just need to order some of these cookies. So I did. And let's just say Maddie understands why Steven is the king of milk and cookies.
Okay, no, what's the website? Let's give them some business. What's the website?
Steven, what's the website?
Leven Bakery.
How do you spell that?
L-E?
You know what?
L-E-V-E-N Bakery? Leven Bakery.
V-A-I-N.
V-A-I-N. Leven. Wait, L-E-V-A-I-N?
I have a box next door. I'm getting the exact spelling. Hold on.
Are they? So they're only in New York, Matt? You're saying?
They do, but
Yes.
they deliver.
They deliver.
They deliver. And these are some thick boys. Like thick boys, some chunky boys.
Yeah, tell me the exact name, Steve, because I'm finding one that's in Houston, but this can't be the.
No.
You don't tell me that. Last thing I need to know is that there's a Levine Bakery in Houston.
Yeah, the Matt doesn't need to even order.
This one.
L-E-V-A-I-N Bakery, established in 1995.
Okay, I got it. New York City's most famous cookie. All right, so who knows about this? You guys knows about this in the chat? Levain.
I'm surprised you don't know about it. You're Mr. Jersey City over here.
No, I've never heard of this. Wow, this is where you get your goods, Steve.
And let's just say that those cookies are diesel.
They're thick boys.
$29 for 4 cookies.
They're diesel.
You don't say you got that SoFi money. I know. Don't pull that on us.
$29 for 4 cookies is a little.
He's got that. I'm not buying Rocketlab because I got other things up my sleeve money.
We're gonna talk about Rocketlab. We'll talk about it. No, I might. Are these guys local or are they like a franchise or something?
I don't think they're a franchise, but they are. That and Insomnia Cookies are like the 2 main cookie spots in Manhattan.
Insomnia sucks though, dude. I've had Insomnia many times.
Insomnia does not suck.
Insomnia
it's not as good as Levain, but
it's low tier cookies, dude. It's not.
It is not.
It's not good, dude. I've had it many times. It's not good.
Not taking your opinion on bakeries. Sorry. Have you been to Fortunato Brothers in Brooklyn?
No.
That's another thing I have to ask you, Mr. Mitt. What is this about rainbow cookies?
Yeah, Matt's never had a rainbow cookie. Like, I'm so depressed.
I've never had a rainbow cookie either.
Don't even say that. You live in Jersey. Don't say that. Don't say that you have never had a rainbow cookie.
What's a rainbow cookie?
What is going on here?
That's what I'm saying. It looks scary to me.
Dude, this looks disgusting. Rainbow cookies?
Oh my God. What is going on with you people?
This looks like fruitcake, bro. I would never eat this.
How dare you say that?
Italian rainbow cookies. No, have you guys had rainbow cookies in the chat? You've had these?
Oh, to die for.
All right. Well, regardless, Steve, me and Matt think you changed.
Go to Fortunato Brothers website. It's incredible, and they ship nationwide.
Steve, you gotta spell this stuff out. You can't tell me to go to these complicated websites.
All right. Well, now I gotta go to get my glasses. If you just type in Fortunato Brothers,
what do you mean type in Fortunato? How the hell do you spell Fortunato? You're just acting like that's an easy word to
make it up.
Just
get close to it. Type in that Brothers Bakery. You'll find it.
Yeah, this thing had a U in it, bro. How would I know this has a U in it? Fortunato Brothers. Okay, bakery.
And go look at the pictures.
These look kind of basic, Steve. These are just regular cookies.
Oh my God. A minute?
Oh my God.
I don't even know what to say to you right now.
They don't look like the other bakery ones you sent.
What I would say is, for sure, don't go to Brooklyn and criticize this place. You may not go home.
Look, if I move to Jersey City, New York's going to be my second home, so I'm going to visit all these places eventually.
That's like saying that Mataloni's in freaking Arthur Avenue up in the Bronx doesn't make good cannolis. Like,
no one knows what you're talking about. You're just
there's some things you just don't say.
Everyone's from New York, bro. No one knows these places.
Oh my God, that's because
Steve is just like a New York City
literally is down by Carmine Street and Mulberry Street in Manhattan, when it's really up on Arthur Ave in the Bronx.
Steve, I told the audience about this bar crawl idea, and I told them it was your idea, so thanks for that. But that'll save the meetup. It'll make it a lot more fun.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't think of this in the first place.
Yeah, I should have
Hey,
consulted.
is Steve going?
Yeah, Steve, why aren't you coming? You should be there. Oh wait, no, Steve's going somewhere. Steve, tell
I'm going
everybody where you're going.
I'm going to be somewhere on Wednesday where I will not be able to make it.
But it's
There
on
you go.
Saturday. It's on Saturday, the meetup.
That's what I just said. I will be somewhere on Saturday where I cannot make it.
Oh, I thought you said Wednesday. Do you want to tell everybody where you're going?
No, not really.
You're so secretive for no reason, bro. He told me, like, just tell everyone where
He
you're going.
doesn't need people,
No,
tracking him
listen,
down.
I don't need somebody thinking that they're going to be a hero and trying to rob me. And
So are you saying I'm going to get robbed on Saturday? Is that what you're saying?
what I'm saying is I don't broadcast where I'm going to be and what I'm going to do because I don't need anybody getting any slick ideas.
You're gonna get robbed like that homeless guy stole your Scarface jacket.
Listen,
Dude, I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to definitely get robbed.
I'm going to be with 4 or 5 people. We're going somewhere, and I just don't.
Oh,
need
I
to
remember.
broadcast it.
He told me. He told me.
He told me last night. He was like, "Can you come?" I was like, "No, I have this meetup." And he was like, "Well, I'm going somewhere else."
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring you. This is like a whole nother angle for your freaking YouTube business, and it's huge content.
Huge
Content.
Huge. What do you think those boxes behind me are?
Well, I'm not looking, but I'm assuming they are the Scarlet and Violet stuff.
No, they got some Sword and Shield in there too.
Sword and Shield, even better.
All right, Steve. I want to ask you a bunch of questions along with Matt, but what's your raw take on this XRP 320 pump right now?
I mean, told you about it, 40 cents.
So humble. I love it.
He changed, bro. He changed.
I didn't change, although I actually have more XRP than I thought. I forgot that I put a bunch in cold storage.
Stumbling upon money.
Wait, really? So you have more of it than before?
Yeah, I may have a cold storage wallet that I may have some crypto in that I forgot about.
You rich bastard. I was excited. I found $100 in my backpack yesterday. You're probably sitting over there.
Wait, so
Steve, I
Steve,
found 520s, and you're sitting over here probably having like another $1 million next.
Hold on. Where did I put it? Hold on. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Steve, this is your first 10x, right?
I have no idea.
This is your first 10x. I think this is your first 10x. I mean, well, Meta's probably actually a 10x because you've been holding.
Yeah, no, Meta's like 15x.
Yeah. Oh. But your first 10x in crypto.
No, more. Meta could be like a 25 or 30x.
Yeah, it's up there now.
Too bad I didn't have enough money to put a lot of money into it at the time, but still have a decent amount.
Well, when it goes up 30x.
Where the hell did I put that? Oh, that's where I put it. I put it in the to-go bag. That's right.
Dude, just hearing how Steve talks to himself is like pure entertainment.
You don't have a to-go bag?
No, I don't have a to-go bag.
You gotta get one.
What do you mean you don't have a
You'll realize you need one when you move
What's
into
a
your
to-go
house.
bag? What do you mean?
You mean you don't have a go bag with essentials in it?
A bug out bag?
Oh,
bug
like when
out
you're
bag?
traveling? No, when you're like that's
no, God forbid. Oh my God. You live a sheltered life, sir.
Yeah. I didn't have a bug out bag
What the hell is a
until
to-go bag? In case like the world's burning down or something?
Yeah, man.
In case there's any riots, you need to get out of Dodge.
You know, you gotta have a to-go bag with some cash, some silver, some gold, you know.
I don't even have an emergency savings. You're talking about I have a good to-go bag, bro.
Well, that's your problem that we need to fix.
Yeah, I never heard of that. But
you've never heard of a go bag?
I mean, I know about the concept now that you're spelling it out for me, but like the name particularly, the vernacular around it, no, I never heard about it.
Yeah, the idea is that you have some clothes, some cash, some other stuff in there. You know, real preppers have water, food, all that stuff. They have really big go bags.
Okay, so let's do this. Everyone in the chat, what is one item that you would have in your to-go bag that's not like the basic food, clothes, like one precious item?
Cash and silver.
Okay, so Steve picks silver.
Amit, look at your text message.
I have protection.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I forgot I put some XRP in there.
Is it a lot of XRP?
Enough where it makes a difference.
So you know how I know Steve changed? He messaged you, he didn't message me.
What are you talking about? We talked about an hour and a half ago.
Steve, you're a different guy, bro. Like, I get that you feel like you're hot shit, but don't
I don't
do
know
it.
why you're saying that. I'm the same person. I called Matt this
We
morning.
literally chatted for 45 minutes.
He
Oh, so
didn't
Matt
pick-
was lying. Matt was lying.
Matt didn't even pick up this morning when I called him. He was busy with me.
That's just, me and Steve just play phone tag until eventually one of us picks up, and then we
Oh,
talk.
I've been
back.
playing that game with him for months, and eventually.
Oh, so he has changed. Just it's not for me.
No, but like in general, you know, when you
Yeah,
become
Amit needs to sleep. Amit needs to do this. He needs to go do cardio.
no, Steve. See, I was at the gym yesterday. Okay, a little bit of flex. I was at the gym, and Steve calls me, and I'm like, dude, I'm at the gym. I'm like, I can't talk. I'm in the gym. And then I get home. He calls me again. I was like, I was busy. And then finally, 2 hours later, I call him up. I always call back, even if it takes a little bit to get the call back. And he does the same, even if it takes him a little bit.
Yeah.
Someone said Steve has Pokemon cards in his to-go.
No, that's too heavy.
Oh, that's the reason you don't have it, because it's too heavy. Great.
It's too heavy. I mean, maybe you put a slab or two in there for something to barter with, but
You need a
you can't be having
Blastoise.
boxes. You can't be having boxes in there. No.
All right, can we talk markets, Steve? Can we talk stock market?
I mean, I don't know what happened in the markets today, so sure, have fun.
Okay, so Steve, what happened in the markets today?
I don't know. I was in meetings all day.
Dude, why are you in meetings, bro? You have enough to retire and just like look at the markets all day.
One, that's not true. Two, I love what I do. Three, I'm busy, man.
I feel like the amount of times you call into the show, you enjoy creating, and I feel like you should just.
I call you when I'm in between meetings. There are days when I only have 4 meetings. There's days when I have 7 or 8 meetings.
Every time Steve calls me,
And
I'm
I
in a meeting.
still got to get through my freaking email for today, which is crazy.
I could not be in a meeting all day, and then as soon as Steve calls me, I'm in a meeting.
Put in the chat if a decent chunk of your day is spent on responding or sending email. Put in the chat. I'm curious how many people are going through emails all day. It's a very kind of, what do you call it? It's a very remedial task, but you have to get through it if you have bosses and you're a project manager and all that stuff, right? I have emails, but not as much as you guys, you and Steve.
Hot Steve, man. He's a hot
We have a
flyer.
lot of people that are doing emails all day.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people. 10% of my time. I check my email every 10 minutes. Dude, I could not imagine checking email that.
Why?
I check Twitter more than I check my email.
Well, it's the equivalent of you checking Twitter. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Dude,
those are your touch points. Twitter's your touch points. Yeah.
I got a haircut yesterday. I wasn't able to check the fucking Twitter for 30 minutes, dude. I almost went insane, bro. I was scared. I was like, what's happening?
So what are we buying? What's the real deal? I know Steve and I are upset.
Yeah, Steve, what are we buying? What are we buying, Steve?
I
What are
don't
we
know that
doing?
we're buying anything right now. I think we're waiting for earnings season to really kick off.
Okay, Steve, Meta and TikTok. I know you didn't get the headlines, but let's just say it doesn't get banned. How do you think of that? How do you interpret it?
I mean, Meta went to 600 with TikTok being in existence. Do I really care?
Are you here first?
Matt.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, does it really matter? I mean, been having this conversation about the two, I feel like, for the past 2 years.
No,
I think
agree.
that, yeah, I agree. It's been going on for quite some time. I think the thing that's interesting to me is how big a deal of people have made it. I don't know if people see the opportunity that it is to buy ByteDance. I saw like Kick is putting a bit in. You know, Kevin O'Leary. Now Elon Musk is involved. It's just pretty
Now, Mr.
interesting.
Beast.
Yeah, now Mr. Beast. So it's pretty interesting. Why is it being thrown around so much? I don't know.
Everybody thinks they can
I'm
make
trying to
money on
scratch
it.
my head. Yeah, I'm trying to scratch my head. Is the people see what Elon did with X, and they're trying to say, you know, this is a good way to get information out there. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be it.
Okay, so outside of the Mag 7, is anything piquing your attention, Steve, or you want to wait till you see earnings?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm really interested for SoFi on the 27th.
Oh yeah.
Really interested because, I mean, if they can come out with something on this front with technology, I am going to be so happy.
I'm up 100%.
So okay, so SoFi's at 16.30. What are we thinking? Do we think they have a great earnings and they go up, or they tank on earnings again?
Depends what they say and what they forecast. Well, I mean, there's the potential for this to really go up if they come out with really strong guidance, which they very well could. And if they come out and say that they got some clients that want some RFPs and they mention somebody, I mean, that would be huge. And that would justify giving them a tech multiple.
Matt, you think SoFi is going to 20? It's psychological to get over 20, but once it gets there, I think it can stay there.
Good question, man. I don't know. I mean, it's been on such a run. Like I said, I'm already up 100%. I bought back in February of 2024. So to be up over 100% on anything in a year, you guys know, I mean, is pretty impressive. So I don't know. I know Steve was very bullish. He was, what were you expecting, Steve? 20 or 25 by year end 24?
Yeah, it was to be like 25, 27.
Yeah.
Didn't pan out.
Didn't pan out. I don't know. I think it's still, I think you need a catalyst to get you over 20. I don't think business as usual will get you to 20 in the next 6 months, in my opinion. You need to have something pivotal to get you over 20 in the next 6 months. By end of year, $20 I think is a given.
Is a bit more.
Don't forget, it's still what, 16% short or something like that.
12%.
Really?
12%.
12% short. I mean, they
I don't
still beat short
understand
interest.
I don't get that.
At least it's not 20% like it was before, but 12% is ridiculous still for a company like this.
I don't get that.
Yeah, because okay, so if you had to come up with even in the chat, if you had to come up with a short thesis on SoFi, what's the one sentence reason you short SoFi? I can't really, like, they're going to be profitable, 20% growth, 10 million members, growing more than all the banks. Maybe the tech platform completely shits the bed this year. But even then, I still think it's what, $13 stock?
Think about all the loans. Think about
Yeah,
all the student loans. They just did the deal today. I mean, there's a lot to be bullish about.
I just don't understand it. Like, it's a $17 billion market cap company. I mean, you think about what they're doing, like, and I think about the same way with Rocketlab. I don't want to transition to Rocketlab yet, but it's like, if you were to recreate this business from scratch, how much money would you need to recreate what SoFi has done? And it's like, to me, that's easily $20 billion.
Right.
So the fact that it's only valued at 17, or not more than 20 billion, is kind of a head scratcher. Like, these guys have implemented themselves. They're growing. I see Tanner, I see Tevis, I see Roy posting all the time how quickly these guys are climbing up the assets under management, and they're running through other banks that have been around for hundreds of years. So it's peculiar to me why people aren't giving them the accolades that they deserve.
And can the company get the licenses? Can they get the customers? Can they own the back end the way SoFi does? I would argue they can't.
KBW today reiterated their $8 price target. They think the $525 million loan deal was not enough to get excited for.
Yeah, coming from the people who thought it was worth $3.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really respect it, but the street isn't as bullish, dude. This is one of those stocks where you're lucky if you get a $20 price target from anybody. And no one has done that yet.
You know what I think would actually get me really bullish was one of the things I actually have a thorn in my side about with SoFi. I originally thought that they were going to be going after more of a market share like Robinhood with respect to some of the crypto side of things, with some of the wealth management side of things. And I feel like they've really dropped the ball on that. And I feel like there is still such a huge avenue that SoFi can use and really take away some of that market share that Robinhood's been, as you know, as a shareholder and as somebody that also uses the product, can really pull in. And I feel like they really dropped the ball on that. And I think that honestly might be one of the things that holds back the stock the most and is a thorn in my side about somebody that has, I don't know, I don't have a lot of shares, but enough that I guess it's a substantial enough position to talk about for me. I think it could easily be worth double had they put a little bit more focus in on some of that.
They should have put a lot more focus. Business banking and wealth management is a thorn in my side. I've been saying it for a long time, and I don't understand why they are not going full court press on this. Doesn't make sense.
Well,
I
I'll
thought
tell
they
you
were.
why. I have the answer.
Do you?
It's pretty simple. Yeah, it's very simple. Noto's not a product CEO. He's just not. Like, that's it. You know, Noto's a banker. He's a Goldman Sachs guy, dude. He's like, there's a difference.
That's true.
When you're product focused, you make the product amazing. When you're banking focused, you trade off with the product, which is, it's fine. It's just investors have to understand that's not how he operates. So even the small banking thing they did, I know Steve got really pissed off about that a couple months ago. Like you know, Robinhood would never do something like they would.
Yeah, I don't want to outsource that. I want the whole pie.
Yeah. Some breaking news: Biden administration said they will leave it to the Trump administration to implement a TikTok ban or extend it.
Really?
Let me confirm that. But okay, it looks like Biden's like, I'm not dealing with this shit. It's up to you now.
So basically, what you're saying is it's not going to happen.
I mean, Trump, yeah, right here, NBC. The Biden administration will defer implementation of the law banning TikTok in the U.S. to the Trump administration, two officials say, effectively not enforcing the ban during the final 36 hours of President Biden's term. But I don't get it. So Congress passed the TikTok ban. It has to go into effect, but I guess you need the executive branch to officially make it go into effect. So that means TikTok's going to stay because Trump's not going to let it go into effect, I think. But I don't know how you can reverse the Congress decisions. I don't know. This is going to be a weird one.
I think this was bigger than the Office of the United States, to be honest with you. I mean, for all this talk that's been going on, like there has to be some sort of, you know, I've always been the kind of guy that there's special interest parties on both sides, whether it's, you know, Biden, whether it's Trump, whether it's Kamala Harris. The billionaires that are running this world, the 200 of them that are ones that really understand what makes these things move and gets the underclass of people really moving. They're the ones that are saying you can't ban TikTok. We need it for something. And that's why I think that you're having this kind of think about how long we've been talking about TikTok being banned. It's been years. It's insane.
Yeah.
If they wanted it banned, they could ban it immediately.
All right, so let's talk about a stock that Steve and I don't own, and maybe this is the conversation that gets us
Also,
going.
it's going to be Bitcoin.
Steve, why don't you own Rocketlab?
Not interested.
Why?
I don't see it.
What do you mean you don't see it? What don't you see? Can you be a little bit more specific for us? What don't you get about Rocketlab?
I just don't see it.
Matt, that's gotta like make you so pissed off. That's just like he's not even giving a good reason. He just like doesn't.
No, I don't have a good reason. I just don't see it. It's run a lot. I don't think it's worth buying here. I hope it continues to go up for everybody that's in it. I don't see it.
Okay, so my nuance is I do see it. I am just confused on when to actually have an entry price, which is a little bit more of a sillier debate, but it's not like I don't see the vision. I'm confused, Steve, how you don't see the space TAM as gigantic given what's happening with Blue Origin, SpaceX, etc.
It's simple. I don't see it.
That doesn't make sense, dude. I can't just say, oh, well, Meta's growing advertising revenues, and you're like, yeah, I just don't see it. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, they're growing advertising revenues. How do you not see it?
Dude, you're talking about, what is this, Rocket Mortgage?
See, you're treating it like a joke, Steve. That's the disrespectful part.
It's not Rocket Companies?
See, this type of disrespect.
RKT?
Oh,
Matt,
Rocketlab USA. There you go.
Matt, you got to hire some guys to
Look,
go wherever Steve's going on Saturday and teach him a lesson for this.
You're talking about a company that's doing $363 million in revenue on an annual basis and has a market cap of $12.5 billion. I mean, I don't know. Kind of crazy.
All right, Matt, your response?
Steve, do you believe in America?
Of course, greatest country in the world.
Do you believe in what SpaceX has done over the past 10 to 15 years?
They have advanced a lot of things.
Do you think that that's replicable?
I mean, it's certainly not a one thing fits all, but before you go down the path you're leading me down, keep in mind that unlike SpaceX, we can actually see the financials for Rocket Lab. and they're not great.
Not great yet. But what if I were to tell you that within the next month and a half, Rocketlab will have had a lunar lander land on the moon that they help subcontract out for?
Great. How is that going to make them money?
What if I told you that they've launched in collaboration with SpaceX and NASA a satellite to go to or an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter?
Cool. How's that going to make them money?
What if I told you that they were going to have a comparable constellation like Starlink within the next 5 years?
Great. How's that going to make them money? You said 5 years. What's Starlink going to have in the next 5 years? Like, come on.
That's like saying that you can't grow another company because
I am just saying that it is run up so much that a company that doesn't even generate cash from operations, a company that doesn't generate any profit or even a operating income, okay? The valuation is crazy. And it's not even like they're sitting on a ridiculous amount of cash on the books. They got $440 million on the books. They're gonna have to dilute shareholders in the next 2 years if something doesn't change. Am I wrong in that?
No, I don't think that they will have to dilute shareholders. They have more than enough running room, in my opinion. They're going to have a huge amount of R&D money actually being able to be going back into the business once they get their medium launch vehicle off the ground. To put in context, on an annual basis at the moment, their launch business is about $150 million a year, $100 to $150 million a year. They're coming out with a rocket that'll be launching middle of this year. That's going to be $55 million per launch, comparable to the Falcon 9. Now, in 5 to 10 years, the cadence of that will hopefully be, 15 or so, maybe 20 launches per annum. And so that ends up being a pretty substantial amount of cash flow coming down the pipeline.
I mean, you're speaking another language that I don't understand.
Talk to me like
I'm a 5-year-old.
Steve, hold on. Before Matt goes, the CEO literally said, sometimes after a tough day at work, I go home and I stroke my rocket.
And
how do you not invest in that? Like, visionary. All right, Matt, continue. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, you can't. If he doesn't want to be, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I mean, you either believe in it, you don't. I get it. The valuation, of course, is absurd, but
wait, is the valuation absurd, Matt? Like, what do you think about the valuation?
On a traditional basis, of course, it's absurd. But do I think it's? If you were to try to replicate this company with less than $20 billion, I think you would fail. The capital efficiency of the folks that are generating and executing over at Rocketlab is second to none. I mean, luckily, Bezos, and you have to think, you have a guy that is competing with Bezos and a guy that is competing with Elon Musk, both billionaires. And this guy is not a billionaire. The only thing that made him a billionaire is the fact that he owns 11, 12% of Rocketlab, and it's now a $10 billion company. That's how he became a billionaire. Not hitting on him by any means. This was his egg, his golden goose, and he wrote it up for sure. But you have somebody that Jeff had billions of dollars from Amazon, and he was able to use that to start Blue Origin. You had Elon, who's not only raised capital throughout the entirety of the time, but also been using the money that he got from PayPal and Tesla to be able to create this business, to create his business. This guy literally bootstrapped his way. He's going to be able to create a medium launch vehicle that makes $55 million per launch for $300 to $350 million. Within 6 launches, he'll get the revenue back. Granted, it's not going to be profit, but it's going to be fully reusable day one.
Logic, how many launches are they going to be doing a year?
This year, it'll be 1 launch. Next year, it'll be 3. By 2027, it'll be 5. And I'm going to.
And you said they're going to make how much?
The top line will be 55 per launch.
Okay, so you're talking about a company that's going to make 380 million revenue from 6 launches in 2027.
27, but they also have a space systems business, solar panels, reaction wheels. They're creating satellites for the Space Development Agency. They're creating satellites for Apple, the Global Star deal, where they're creating an Apple constellation.
I mean, look. So, Steve, is there any price where it gets excited? Like I don't know, $15? You think, or
I'm willing to invest in a lot of stuff. I just don't see the vision with this. That doesn't mean it's not a good investment. It's just not a good investment for me where I can't see the vision in this. Like Palantir, I was able to see the vision and how they get to generating $1 billion in free cash flow and more. I don't see how Rocketlab gets to generating $1 billion in free cash flow. I could be wrong.
I mean,
no, seriously, like how did they get to $1 billion in free cash flow anytime soon? Because if you're telling me that the 6 launches are going to generate 380 million, that's revenue. That's not free cash flow. And then this other stuff, like how are they going to get to a point where they're doing billions in revenue and get to a 15 or 20% free cash flow margin?
I don't have an answer for that, but I think eventually we'll have to see their execution to get there. It has run a lot, though. That's what I'll agree with Steve. It's up a lot. It's hard to buy it here after $4 to 25, right?
Yeah, it's not cheap on today's basis for sure. I would understand that, and but next year they'll be doing $600 million in revenue, if not more. Or this year, I guess we'll do $600 million more. Next year it'll be close to 850 to 900 million. 2027 will easily be over $1 billion. By the time you get to 2029, I'm anticipating you're going to be close to $1.5 billion to $2 billion. So I know it's not the numbers that Steve wants. He wants
which
$1
is
billion
great,
cash
but
flows,
you're thinking about how long it's going to take to get there and what their profit's going to be and what their EPS is going to be. I think there's other places to put money.
That's fair. I mean, there's always other places to put money.
Always other places to put money, Stephen. I think you're talking about to be able to replicate a business like this. You've seen people enter the market with $5 to $10 billion and fail. These guys were actually accomplishing it and thriving, and have the second most launched vehicle in the Western world, third most launched vehicle in the world. And to me, that's almost priceless. It's almost irreplaceable. You could give someone $30 billion and they still might not be able to make a company last with the capability and things that they put together.
Matt, do you think? Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Just because you can do that doesn't mean that you can continue to do that and turn a profit. Two different things.
Profitability, Steve, and you don't have to believe me or not, but within the first half of 2026, they will be profitable.
Okay.
Well, they're guiding for the end of the year profitability, right?
They are, yeah. So I'm giving them an additional 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
They said 2 quarters after they do the Neutron launch, because basically they have to they're fronting the initial launch, which will probably cost them 20 to 30 million on top of all the R&D. And then after that, they have a lot of R&D expenses go away. And that's been a drag of about $30 to $50 million a quarter.
Let's just say, Matt, I relate to you at a level that you don't even understand, because Steven and I were having the same conversation when Hood was $7. And I said, Steve, I think there's something here. He doesn't listen to his friends. Ever.
I would rather buy Hood at $7 than Rocketlab at $5.
What type of statement is that? What is like?
It's okay. I've been through.
I'm just saying, Steve doesn't listen to us. He doesn't listen to his friends. That's all.
No, I get it. I didn't listen to either of you on those. I'm just saying, if I had to pick one of the two, at least Robinhood has a business model I can understand and I can see growing over Rocket Labs, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I had the same pushback with Palantir. I had the same pushback with a lot of companies. So
Matt Money's like, motherfucker, I'm gonna be right in 2 years, and you're gonna be upset.
I hope so. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. For everybody that's invested in it, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I don't blame Steve. You can't invest in every company.
Okay,
So-
so
Same way everybody can't invest in XRP.
that is correct. That is correct. Guys, we have Starship in about 20 minutes. So, Matt, I'm sure you want to watch that with me so we can watch that live in 20 minutes.
Sure.
But until then, we can keep talking stocks. Steve, so if you're not buying the Mag 7 right now, is oil and gas on your mind given the oil? Also, Matt, yeah, you're an oil gas expert. How are you thinking of this run up we've seen? And is there an opportunity to capitalize, or we should lay back and wait till oil prices come down?
I guess it really depends. I mean, I don't think you're going to get hurt with it, within the next 2 years if you buy here. I just think that personally, for me, as somebody that has been involved in oil and gas over the past 10 years or so, and I guess I've been studying it for the past 15, to me, exactly what I said there. Oil falls after the ceasefire, right? I mean, I think that that's a piece. I think once the Ukraine deal gets signed, that'll be another piece. But I read another article today. Actually, if you scroll down, it probably is in there with respect to where demand is headed towards the next year and where supply is supposed to be. So I think we're going to grow supply to over 104.5 million, and I think demand for this year is only supposed to be at just above 104 million per day. So, you're just basically going to be building inventory. And to me, I don't really see a place where it makes sense to be buying here. I guess it's a question. Can this rally continue with respect to the short-term pivot that we've seen over the past 15 days? It really was like the last few days of December where we've seen a pivot in oil prices. And you've seen some companies go up 5%. You've seen some people go up 15% since year to date. So congratulations to the people. Like I know Steve wrote on Schlumberger. I don't know if he pulled the trigger or not. But to me, I guess it really depends on what's the goal of investing. To me, I don't see outsized returns in investing in a lot of oil companies today. I think there needs to be a lot more blood in the streets. Excuse me. I know fourth quarter, which is at the end of the month, when a lot of the super majors report, is going to be very tough. A lot of people are already signaling impairments due to the decrease in refining margins, and then also the decrease in just overall margins in total with respect to oil and gas prices. A lot of people thinking that oil is going to stay at $100 a barrel, so they were doing a lot of exploration. Shell's writing off Namibia, which was a huge piece that they thought was going to be, the next Guyana. For those of you that are familiar with that, with ExxonMobil. So I just coupled with the waning demand and the outsized cheap oil that we have right now, I just don't see it. The thing that is also very telling for me is the diversification of Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, Saudi Arabia, into a lot of other things outside of the United States. Sorry, not outside of the Middle East. They're trying to get involved in other things that are outside fossil fuels. They're trying to basically come up with different revenue streams so they can defocus their concentration on fossil fuels for their revenue streams going forward. And if they were bullish, they wouldn't be changing that, right? They'd still be focusing wholly on natural gas. It'd be wholly focusing on oil. But this is my thought process. I mean, I've been wrong, obviously, the past I guess week or so, 2 weeks maybe. But I think that there's going to be a pivot, and we should see oil in the low 60s. Personally, I don't see a reason why it's north of $70 a barrel.
Steve, any thoughts on oil?
Yeah, I'd rather be in midstream operators and rather be in utilities at this moment. But if there was one I had to pick, it would be the super majors. I mean, look, there's one in particular, or maybe two, that I think are pretty undervalued at the moment. I mean, I'm running some numbers right now, so just give me a sec. A little company called BP
Oh,
does $13.5 billion in free cash flow.
They fired a bunch of employees today, by the way.
And they're trading at 6.12 times free cash flow. That is an incredibly low number. And when you look through the cash flow statement, they are repaying debt. So in the trailing 12, they've repaid $5 billion in debt. They've repurchased almost $7 billion in stock. They've paid $4.8 billion in dividends. This is a company that has $34.7 billion in cash on the balance sheet. Their long-term debt is $52.98 billion. They have roughly 65% of their debt in cash, huge free cash flow. And when you look at the forward earnings, I mean, they're trading at a P that's under 10. I think it's very interesting, especially in a world where the demand for energy continues to grow, especially with all the CapEx being spent on data centers. I think Chevron's a very interesting one also that I would get interested on. I don't think I would be going with the smaller ones unless I'm looking for a spec buyout. And I do have my own opinions on that, which I will say. I think Devon Energy and Oxy are very interesting, where if we see consolidation, I think they could be targets. Who knows? But I think midstream operators are the play in this. And oilfield services. I think Schlumberger is very undervalued.
Okay. Steve, can we pivot to another question? Because I'm very curious on how you interpret this piece of news. Apple's had its worst day since August 2024, down 4%. The headline is Apple has lost their top spot in China's smartphone market. They are now third place. They dropped 17% for the year with a steep 25% decline in Q4 alone. Is Apple a buy, down basically 8% from the highs?
I mean, is it a buy for the week? Who freaking knows? Long term, I don't think you don't want to own it.
You don't think they have any more room to fall trading at these valuations?
Like I said, I don't know what they're going to do in a week. But long term, I think it's fine.
I'm trying to get a long-term thesis from you. If they can't keep their market share in China, which is one of their biggest markets outside of North America, the Vision Pro is a flop. Services is not growing at the level that the market thought it would grow. Apple Intelligence is nothing. What is the thesis?
Hold on. Services is a business that they built out of thin air and is going to cross $100 billion in revenue this year.
That's great. That's not going to increase revenue growth. Not even by 2%. So
We'll see.
No, it's not. We'll see. This is like this is if their iPhone's business is not growing, the services is not going to outpace it. Like, I'm just curious why you think Apple. And if you tell me buybacks and saving on taxes, I don't know if that's enough of an argument anymore.
Buybacks is huge. The fact that we haven't even seen their AI capabilities, and I really do think that when you have a 2 to 3 billion device install base, and the ability to upcharge people on their monthly fee for services, it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of potential there. Is it going to pan out now? Is it going to pan out in a couple of years from now, a couple months from now? Who knows? But long term, I think it's fine.
I think what Steve is trying to say, and sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, Steve, please slap me on the wrist if I'm wrong here. It doesn't matter if revenue is staying flat or slightly going down if the net margin of the services business outpaces that of the hardware business, like iPhone. So if you're only getting 20% from iPhone and you're getting 50% from services, then it's going to offset completely.
This is what people don't understand. Revenue doesn't have to go up for them to increase EPS and profitability. When you're buying back $80 to $100 billion worth of shares a year, you don't actually have to grow revenue every year to become more profitable.
No, but Steve, that is more than priced in. The street knows. The street's giving them this valuation knowing they will buy back shares. Like, that's not something new. That's not an original argument. Like, unless they buy back 150 billion, right? You're saying they do 80 to 100, maybe they do another 50, but like, I get the point. I'm confused on how they financially engineer themselves out of no growth, because there is no growth.
There was no growth 2 years ago. They did it then.
Yeah, it's not been going for 2 years. That's the point. Like,
Everybody, here's what I'm going to say. Everybody who bets against them loses.
you're correct on that. You're correct.
Why do we even want to try? Out of nowhere, Apple can decide to do something and make it work.
What would be crazy in 2025 is if the Mag 7 go up and Apple does. Like if Apple lags the Mag 7, that would be all right. The market's given up on them, at least to an extent, which happened last year for 7 months, and then Apple rebounded in July.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's other Mag 7 names I think are much more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't buy Apple out of all the Mag 7s if you had to only pick one, I would imagine.
I mean, NVIDIA and Amazon are my two big picks right now, and Alphabet as a valuation play.
Yeah.
But it's hard to not get excited about NVIDIA.
Matt, are you on the NVIDIA bandwagon at all?
I see where Steve's going. I'm just fearful of it.
The cyclicality is what you're fearful of?
I don't think it's cyclicality. I just don't know. I'm not educated enough to know when the music's going to stop. And what I mean by that is I don't know. I have two really intelligent people whispering in my ear about NVIDIA. One being Chris Patel, who thinks that the party should have already stopped. And then, you have the geniuses of the world, Mr. Stephen Fiorillo as well. I'm not saying Chris Patel is not a genius, but you have another genius here, it's Stephen Fiorillo. And he's saying it's going to continue. And I see both sides. And the thing is, I just don't, I'm not educated enough. And so instead of investing in it, I just put my money like that in the S&P 500 and let them figure it out.
I mean, look, eventually the music is going to stop. When it stops is the big question. And it ain't stopping this year. Not when look, there's no competition. Microsoft is spending $80 billion. Amazon just came out with a new $11 billion spend. On the earnings calls, we're going to hear blank check, blank check, blank check from Amazon, Meta, and Alphabet because they don't have a choice because of what Nadella is doing at Microsoft. You're going to have a huge CapEx spend this year. You're going to have a huge ramp with NVIDIA, and this cycle is going to be 2 or 3 years. And AMD is not an option at this point. There's no other option at this point.
Intel's
So
dead. They never got in the GPU game or
until these
major
companies decide that they have built out data centers to their satisfaction where they no longer have to continue building and it's just maintaining and they can drop the CapEx spend by 30, 40, 50%, the music's not stopping. The music stops when the Mag 7 stops buying or it stops adding and they go in servicing mode. And that's definitely not stopping this year from what we're seeing with CapEx. So, and admit, I've said this before, I think NVIDIA is a 1 or 2 year play, and then it's get really conservative on it.
So you agree, Steve, the music will stop?
I've been saying that for a while. I just don't think it stops as soon as other people think it's going to. I think NVIDIA becomes the most profitable company in the market before it happens. And I think they're going to be the most profitable company in 2025. I think they're going to generate more net income than Apple based on the guidance and the growth and the margins that they have.
If those margins drop below 70%, that is not going to be good for NVIDIA either.
Right now, they got profit margin of 54%. If that stays over 50% and they keep growing like this with Blackwell, this thing is going to go to $5 trillion.
Do you think it gets to 10 trillion like the Uber bulls feel about NVIDIA?
Eventually, there's going to be a $10 trillion company. Nobody thought there would be a $1 trillion company. Nobody thought there would be a $2 trillion
Wait, hold on.
company.
So what do you mean the music stops? There's another 3x to go if you think it's going to 10 trillion.
That's not what I said.
You said a company will get to
I
10
said
trillion.
eventually there will be a $10 trillion company.
Got you.
Nobody thought there would be a $500 billion company. Everybody thought it was crazy when that happened. Every milestone that we have, people think is crazy. And they think for some reason, because we hit a milestone, everything should go down. Even when retracements happen, the markets still go up. So you're telling me in 10 years from now, it's not feasible that we have a $5 or a $10 trillion company? I'm not buying that.
Okay, so put it in the chat. Who is the first $10 trillion company in the United States of America? I'm going with, I'm not going with Grindr. I think realistically, I think Tesla. I think it's Tessie, bro. I think it's Tessie. Steve, you disagree with me? You think it's it's Tesla?
I think Tesla becomes the most profitable company and the biggest company in the future. I don't think they're the first to 10 trillion.
Who do you think is the first to 10 trillion?
I think it's going to be either Amazon or Nvidia.
Amazon.
And you know what? You can't count Microsoft out.
You can't.
I don't
Yes,
think
you
it's going to
can.
be
Yes,
Apple.
you can. Yes,
No,
you
can't. No, you can't.
Copilot's not going to 10 trillion that easily, dude.
Oh my God.
Not quicker than everyone else.
Oh my
What do you mean,
God.
oh my God. No, don't. Oh my God. It outperformed the S&P last year, 13%. What are you talking
Forget
about?
about Copilot. Think about everything that Microsoft has that businesses need.
That I don't see where the 10 trillion vision comes. Like Tesla, I can see it. Nvidia, I can see it. Amazon, I can see it. Microsoft, I do not see where is the 10 trillion coming from.
Okay.
I can even see it in Meta, to be honest, with the glasses. If that becomes the next computing platform, I could see that. Mike, what do you see in Microsoft that gets you to 10 trillion?
Well, let's say they own a little software operating system called Windows.
Okay.
They own a software stack called Microsoft Office. They own a little online platform called LinkedIn. They are the second largest cloud service provider that could become the largest cloud service provider. They own a little video game outfit called Xbox and then subset of Activision Blizzard. They have other companies and other things that they do. They
Why
are
does that get them to 10
conglomerate.
trillion? Why does that get them to 10 trillion?
The growth that they're going to keep having as population expands and businesses get bigger benefits Microsoft.
Okay, Matt, who's your first $10 trillion company?
I'm going to say Amazon.
Why?
Their cloud business is phenomenal. I don't think that people are fully appreciating how much we still need to move towards e-commerce comparatively to where we're at today. I don't know. I just think that Amazon is probably it.
Don't forget that they'd be the first company to $1 trillion a year in revenue. 2029, most likely.
Yep. They will be, what is it, close to 700 billion this year, I think?
Yeah, they're going to get close to 700 after this quarter.
Yep.
Steve, you have a good Microsoft thesis. Someone said LinkedIn is going to go to 10 trillion because everyone's going to be searching for jobs when AI replaces us. So,
dude, people don't want to listen to me. What Zuckerberg said scares the hell out of me for the population. The fact that computer programming was such a high in-demand skill, and it's going to be replaced in the next couple of years with AI. I mean, Zuckerberg's already going to start replacing engineers with AI in 2025. Just wait until that continues to expand. And then wait till full self-driving happens and you don't have cab drivers, Uber drivers, or trucking industry. What is everybody going to do?
So I had this debate with Tanner on Hood Weekly. Some of you guys probably in the chat saw this. And this conversation came up and Tanner was like, oh, we're going to create more jobs with AI. And I was like,
How?
I agree with you, Steve. I was like, wait a second. The Uber driver that gets replaced by the robotaxi, like, what do they do? He was like, oh, well, in the pandemic, people became entrepreneurs and they started selling candles on Shopify.
I'm sorry. No, that's a ridiculous argument. Everybody should really take a step back and really think about what happens. Our politicians are not talking enough about this. And this is our biggest problem outside of the normal wildfires and normal stuff like that. The biggest future problem that we have to worry about is how do we make sure that jobs are not replaced by robotics and AI? Because there's at least 50% of the jobs out there that could be replaced in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
And that is a detrimental problem.
I think we're going to need a robot tax or something, but he just wasn't convinced that humanoid robots are going to replace Amazon employees. I'm like, no, they will, dude. Those employees they're not going to get moved up to a different.
Look at the factories. Look at Tesla's factory. Look at Amazon's factory. You already have robotics that replace jobs in there. Wait till that becomes large scale.
The only thing I could see that helps with this is if demand for these products goes through the roof. So demand for, if you think about it, if you can own a car and it now becomes a business, then why would GM sell it for $50,000 if they could sell it for $150,000 or $200,000? Right. So that's the only thing that I see as a potential way to slow it down. And so that's kind of always been my thought process is like, if Waymo ends up becoming the operating system for GM and a lot of other different companies, and that's what gets licensed out. Then you have Tesla with their operating system that they have with FSD. Then, at what point it might start off at $100, but $100 a month, but then it'll go to 200 to 300 to 400, because eventually someone's going to want their money, right? And if demand is there, then they pretty much have to figure out a way to price it to a point where there's competition. So
there are so many jobs that are going to be at stake if we don't do something. And Andrew Yang, people thought he was crazy during the previous election cycle, not previous, but 2016. He was the only one that was talking about UBI. And while I am not a fan of UBI, there may not be any other alternative in the future.
Yeah. All right, Steve, we're going to be quiet for probably the next 5 to 10 minutes. We are watching Starship, and I'm going to play that audio. We got 45 seconds, folks.
Right,
That is,
I will talk to you guys later.
when they say go
Love
for
you.
download.
Talk later, Steve. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Excuse me.
This is some light.
It seems like they are through the gate.
We're through the gate.
T30, here
I
we
see
go.
the venting from
Watch for the detonation suppression system and the fire X.
Go for launch.
Go for launch.
Fire X.
Detonation suppression system is on. Watch out for the deluge and engine ignition.
T-minus
On the other
15.
side.
See you on the other side, everybody.
Yep.
There it is. There we go, folks. That is pretty incredible. 1 minute into the launch. This is Flight 7 for Starship.
We are about 80 seconds into the 7th flight of Starship. I believe we can say we have 33 healthy Raptor engines as the booster is in flight and all the way on its way through max Q.
Oh, there's nothing like that, Adrian, when that sound hits you just after launch. And there it is. It's on its way uphill. You can see it turning into a star. This is my favorite moment.
This is so amazing.
It's fantastic. We're T plus 1 minute, almost 50 seconds. Alex, you said it's 2 minutes to stage set. What is it, 2:15?
Yeah, around 2.5 minutes into flight. So we are 30 seconds away from that hot staging. 30 engines out of 33 will shut down. Then the ship engines will ignite. Clamps at the top of the hot staging ring will open, and the ship will fly away. The booster, meanwhile, will be flipping back to beginning its boost back burn and get back to the launch site. Remember, that's when they decide whether to go back for a catch or not.
There's the preparation for the ignition of the Raptor engines. You can see now this heavy venting that we see on Raptor engines right before they ignite.
I love the flap cam.
You're going to see that exhaust plume come out the side, and then we'll get to stage separation. But they vent that with that CO2 to clear everything out of there.
Shut down on Raptor ignition.
And hot staging, look at that. Wow.
And the booster is going to turn around and ignite those for boost back. Now,
it looks
right
like
now,
one engine is out on the boost back burn, but it's okay. They've done this before. It's okay. 12 out of 13 engines on the booster.
And they're making that
into space. How's it going in Hawthorne, Jesse? It's great over here. You can hear the crowd screaming for every milestone. The booster is now making its way back down to Earth. Looks like we have 12 of those 13 engines ignited. We're using the engines that actually gimbal.
We are go for booster return.
An excellent call out there. We are go for booster return.
Avionics, power and telemetry nominal.
There's a lot of criteria that needed to line up to ensure that we could have a safe booster catch, and it sounds like we got the go for that. And there you can see on your screen, we had we just jettisoned the hot stage, and there's a great, excellent view there of the hot stage floating away from the super heavy booster. Now we've shut down the engines for that boost back burn. That confirms boost back burn is now complete. That was the first of 2 burns required for the vehicle to make its way back down to Earth. And next coming up will be the landing burn. That's going to be 13 of those center engines igniting again. And that will then go down from 13 down to 3 engines just right before we touch down for that booster catch. Now, reminder, our stage 1 objectives are to have a controlled ascent, stage separation, as well as a controlled boost back burn and hot stage as well. So we're looking good for that so far. Some great views there.
Wild.
From the ship of Earth. That looks incredible.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Now, we did have the New Glenn launch last night, and they tried to land it, their initial
Firing
booster.
its engines right now.
They were not able to.
And great call outs. Starship trajectory is nominal. You can follow along the telemetry, the altitude in the bottom left-hand corner for the super heavy booster, as well as the bottom right-hand corner for the ship. And these views are just amazing. Again, the booster is currently making its way back to the tower today. So we're looking forward to a booster catch with the chopsticks. And in the meantime, you can see those grid fins there helping to control the vehicle and guide it back to its landing site.
So New Glenn was attempting to land
we're
on
going
a
to hand it back.
barge.
How's it going over there, Dan and Kate? How are you doing, Kate?
Go ahead. I just muted it.
They were trying to land on a barge comparable to what they do with the Falcon 9 for New Glenn, and unfortunately unable to do that. But this is going to happen pretty quick. So let's get.
Do you think they land it? Do you think they catch it?
It's about to happen.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think they catch this. This will be fun.
Just like this silver flare coming back to the once again, we are standing by for attempting to catch the booster at the tower. This would be the second tower catch.
Booster
landing burn. Seeing 13 engines.
Booster now hovering as it aligns with the tower for catch.
Booster coming in.
Oh boy.
Get ready for that boom, Kate.
Down to 3 engines.
That's
Pretty insane.
They did it. Just before Trump's inauguration, yeah. They did it. Elon must be so happy right now.
You heard it here. Mechzilla has caught the booster.
Once again, for the second time, a successful catch by the launch tower. This is the same tower, the launch pad, where that booster took off from just 7.5 minutes ago. Great view from the chopstick arms, looking at those hypersonic grid fins that steer the booster for that precision landing.
I'm gonna rock them back and forth.
It almost looks like it's flapping its wings.
Yeah, you can see just how small that catch fetting is too on something that's just so massive.
That was absolutely insane.
Meanwhile,
we're not done, but wait, there's more. Wow, that is just absolutely stunning. And this, of course, a gorgeous view there from the tower looking down at the top of the booster.
All right, and we are tracking.
Now we're standing by for views from the ship, but who can take their eyes off of that incredible sight? That is once again the second catch of a booster back at the launch tower. It was incredible to see it come back down, just this silver flare in the sky. And we can still see the launch plume behind us, and wow, that we definitely I can't speak for you, Dan, but that was very moving for me.
Yeah, and right now you can see some of the telemetry on those ship engines has gone out, and we're waiting for an update on what our ship status is. We were approaching that ship engine cutoff time, so just waiting to hear. So obviously we've got booster back, booster on the launch tower in the chopstick arms, but we are waiting to get an update now on the ship. As we were expecting ship engine cutoff about 40 seconds ago. We saw some of those engines start to go out prior to that point. And so right now we are just standing by to try and get the latest word on where we are with ships. So stick with us for just a couple of minutes as we wait to hear some updates.
Now, if you just recently joined us, you might want to hit rewind and go back about 9-10 minutes ago to when Starship lifted off from the launch tower that you see there. We had a gorgeous ascent followed by a stage separation where the ship separated from the super heavy booster. The booster performed a flip maneuver and returned back to the Gulf Coast here. There you can see it on your screen. Obviously a successful catch back at the launch tower, which is something that we were all hoping to see and really couldn't ask for a more beautiful background with those blue skies and blue water there. As Dan said, we are standing by for an update on the ship that had ignited its engines and started making its way up to space. So standing by for more info on that. But wow, what an experience to see that take off.
Matt, your reaction? That was pretty cool.
It's definitely humbling to see, New Glenn last night and then Starship 7 today, and it just reminds me of where we are in the space race of companies really trying to set out and push forward. And it just reminds me about how much fun it's going to be watching these guys, SpaceX, Rocketlab, Blue Origin, continue to expand what the future of the space TAM looks like. And it's really going to be something that I don't think people are really recognizing yet, but a space race is definitely upon us if they haven't already seen it. India is trying to get back to the moon. China's trying to get back to the moon. Many people are trying to get back to the moon. And then eventually by the end of the decade, if not early next decade, get to Mars as well. So believe it or not, actually, this is near the Brownsville Ship Channel we were talking about, where NEXT is going to be exporting LNG in just 2 to 3 years or so. TJ doesn't live too far from here either. But yeah, Boca Chica, it's a pretty interesting space how they've literally taken it from literally just a little cape off of the coast of South Texas to it being literally a huge star base. Interesting and very cool to see that in 5 or 6 months, we're hopefully going to be able to see Neutron hopefully do something comparable to what Starship did. I think it was Starship 2 where they did a soft landing in the ocean, and hopefully that's what Neutron will be able to replicate in 4 to 6 months, and then eventually be able to land on some sort of barge or back on a pad comparable to what Falcon 9 does. So it'll be interesting to see.
So Matt, can you educate me on this? And this is super ignorant of me because I'm not educated here, but why exactly do they do these launches? Like, what was this launch for? Like,
I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily sure what payload they're launching today, but for Falcon 9, they do a lot of the Starlink launches. So everyone that's talking about how they want, remote connectivity in the middle of the mountains, etc. That's what that's going to be. Starship, I think, to me, is really on the way to get to. It's a stepping stone on a way to get to Mars, and so what ends up happening is NASA is going to be contracting people to eventually go to Mars. And what basically they're trying to get to is a vehicle that has the capability to do so.
Right.
And so, this doing this and having the reusability, the chopsticks, etc., is literally just trying to reduce the total costs. So, for example, in previous times, a launch like this would have cost billions of dollars. I guarantee that this costs less than $100 million to do today. And so, to put it in perspective, the Falcon 9 launch that actually launched the lunar lander, the Firefly lunar lander that happened 2 or 3 nights ago, the thing that's going to be landing that Rocketlab helped subcontract out for, the solar panels, the trajectory, the navigation system, etc. But going back to the actual launch piece, that booster has landed 25 times. So if you think, even if you were to have an initial cost of, say, $70 million for a Falcon 9 launch for somebody, but now you're able to land it 25 times, well, you basically have the amount of cost so many times at that point that it becomes profitable. So even if the first launch costs you $70 million to build that first rocket, then you launch it a second time, technically it's only going to cost you, $35 million, let's say. Then the next time is only going to cost you 17, etc. So that's kind of the thought process around reusability. It's the thought process around, being able to do what they've done. So no longer do you have the issue of being, having to come up with expendable parts and things of the like. If things can be used 10, 20 times, it's going to make things a lot cheaper. And not only that, but it allows the way that they're doing things now compared to where they were doing things back in 2013 and before Obama kind of privatized the space industry. It was almost like you basically had, comparable to what Palantir is talking about all the time, you have like cost plus 30, cost plus 20. And so you'd have these people that are just spending billions upon billions of dollars and not actually accomplishing anything, making anything efficient, because at the end of the day, they're still making their 20, 30% margin. Versus now what you have is this competition to make things as cheap, efficient, reusable as possible. And NASA now has this bidding process. So hopefully you have these people that are going to come up with these solutions. And so eventually the goal, to kind of get back to your original question, is NASA is trying to sponsor the Artemis program, which eventually is going to get us back to the moon, firstly, within the next several years. And then next, after that, they're going to get us to Mars. So that's really where the goal of a lot of this current space race is happening. So New Glenn is part of that. And then Rocketlab is obviously part of that. The Firefly lunar lander that was launched on Tesla's Falcon 9 the other day. Let
me just go to the audio on the stream, because I think we're getting some issues with the actual thing as well.
Have recently tuned in. We're now a little over T plus 16 and a half minutes after liftoff. We do believe that we have lost the ship during its ascent phase. It's successfully separated from the Super Heavy booster, but during that ascent phase, a couple of the engines dropped out, and then shortly thereafter, we lost communication with the vehicle. So we are assuming that we have lost the ship, but we are standing by to confirm that, and once we can, we will. But this was a new version of the ship, of Starship, and it was intentionally designed and flown in order to basically test the envelope, as we have done with every one of these test flights, the keyword there being test, and really trying to understand the boundaries and the maximums for the ability of this vehicle to fly and understand where those boundaries are. So we always knew that excitement is guaranteed today, success not guaranteed. And so, yeah, we are standing by to see if we can learn more about the status of the ship.
So, Matt, this is one of the things that I guess happens, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just it loses communication, doesn't fully work out.
Yeah, I mean it's still literally exploration, yeah, and like for example, I was telling you, New Glenn, they tried doing comparable to what SpaceX did here with respect to capturing the Falcon Heavy part, the first stage, and they lost it in the ocean. You know, it was the first time New Glenn had launched last night, and they tried doing what SpaceX has done literally hundreds of times at this point, which is capturing a Falcon 9 on a barge. And unfortunately, it just towards the end, they were able to get successful reignition, kind of what we saw here with the Falcon Heavy initial booster. And shortly after that, it looked like there was I guess what they call a RUD, which I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I think it's a fancy term basically to it basically blew up. Eventually it landed close to the barge, but not on the barge, obviously.
Right.
And who knows how uncontrollable it was, but yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is it for us, folks. If you want to keep watching the stream, I'll link it right here. It's on SpaceX's X. Still amazing. I mean, they caught it for a second time. It's not always going to be as perfect as everyone wants it to be, but between that, the Glenn launch, and obviously everything Rocketlab is doing, it seems like it is an exciting time for the space industry.
It is, man. And Falcon 9 just launched a lunar lander literally 2 days ago, and then within a month or two, we'll be able to see that land, and it'll continue to be interesting. And Firefly was the prime contractor, and guess who they subcontracted out to? Ahmed, I'll give you a guess.
I think it's a lab, and it has some rockets in it. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed an extended market close. Our friend of the channel, Mr. Matt Money, was nice enough to join us for a couple hours and talk stocks with us. Please make sure you are following him on X if you are not already. I'm also going to be linking his YouTube right here. Matt goes live like 3-4 times a week, just talking about stocks, the market, Rocketlab, all that good stuff. So please make sure to subscribe to his channel as well.
Much appreciated, my man. Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. I came home early and was able to capture a market close. It's not often, so it's nice to be able to hang out.
I love it. All right, Matt. Thank you, everybody. We will see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody.